A conversation about transportation here in Albuquerque. Everyone has an opinion about city buses, even people who don't ride them. And in recent years, they've drawn the attention of our city council, which launched a zero fares pilot program. Now, local officials have gone back and forth over that program. As you know, we've talked about it here, leaving it as an experiment for now and adding more guards with more power on city buses as a compromise to continue exploring those free rides. Our Laura Pasca sits down with two advocates for Albuquerque's bus system and for free transit for everyone in the city. Christopher Ramirez and Althea Atherton are with Togethers for Brothers, and yes, both rode city buses to our studios here at New Mexico PBS.
Christopher, Althea, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for inviting us.
So I wanted to start just talking about buses in Albuquerque. Who rides them? Why are they important?
Absolutely. One of the things that I think is great is, and I think you know this, Together for Brothers has been doing community-based research around transportation since 2017. We were funded by the Kellogg Foundation and New Mexico Health Equity Partnership to really look into youth and transportation, and we've learned a lot about bus riders. What's also great is every 5 years, Albuquerque is required by the Federal Transportation Administration, FTA, to do an onboard survey with bus riders so that we learn about them and also that we can verify that we are not engaging in any civil rights violations. So February and March of 2022, as Zero Fares was launching, we have this incredible data tool of the onboard survey that says some important things about bus riders in Albuquerque. One thing, 80% of bus riders identified on average as having a household income less than $25,000. So that's basically living in poverty, right? So a lot of our bus riders are economically in that one of the lowest categories in terms of household income. The other thing we want to also share is we learned in that onboard survey, 60% of bus riders do not have a driver's license or identification. And that's important, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, that one of the proposed changes to Zero Fares was a pass, which wouldn't have been Zero Fares, but we literally have 60% of bus riders who don't have an ID to prove that they're a senior, to prove that they're their age, to prove that they're who they say they are. Mm-hmm. And so that's important too. And we know that especially impacts people experiencing homelessness who find it hard to have and keep an ID that's valid.
It's a wider range of people than I think people give credit for. I think people like me who have like a medical reason to not want to drive, or even some of my friends who just have anxiety about the road conditions here, pedestrian fatality rates, things like that, end up deciding that the bus is, even if they're only sometimes using it, a better way to go. And I see a lot of students at CNM, UNM, around the public schools using it. So, and also a lot of seniors who maybe just like don't want to have to deal with driving anymore, whether they can or they, have decided not to for medical reasons as well. It ends up being a pretty, diverse group of people on my daily rides.
So, Zero Fares. Can you talk about how that program benefits anybody in Albuquerque, but in particular, young men of color and their families?
Absolutely. I'm going to take us back all the way to 2018. We finished doing a year of community-based research, our health impact assessment, and this is what it told us. If young people had access to free transit, it would impact their access to education. And I think you might remember there was a story, we met a young person who was a freshman at Highland High School, 100 tardies, and he was on the verge of being suspended from Highland. No one at Highland had ever asked him, what's making you tardy, right? And it was because he had to get 2 buses to go to a school of choice and be in the refugee cohort at Highland, right? Access to education, access to employment. Would it be easier to find and keep a job if you had free transit? 97% of boys and young men of color told us absolutely yes, right? Access to recreation. Would you be able to get to quality parks and outdoor space? Absolutely, right, in the 90s again. And then the other thing that was a surprise, because as we were doing surveys, interviews, focus groups, we learned something. We thought about this healthy, like getting to exercise, but the other thing that a lot of young people, which is probably no surprise to you because of the news stories you've done about food security, in the International District in Westgate, the most impacted transit-dependent households, access to healthy food was another important factor, right? So free transit would do that. We learned that in 2018, we pushed for free student passes, and then something great happened in 2019. We were introduced to this new National Day of Action on Rosa Parks' birthday on February 4th, we use that as an opportunity to do something, to make a call for free transit for everyone. We passed our first resolution with the Transit Advisory Board in 2019. City Council actually voted in support of free transit, but we missed a really important element. They didn't add anything to the budget. So in 2021, something magical happened because we did it in 2020 again. And in 2021, then Councilor Lancena found the $3 million for the pilot program for zero fares. So that's why we're at where we're at, right?
I can imagine how important buses are for people to access different services and different places all across the city. And so for the Zero Fares program, how do you think that it has affected people's ability to, get to do things outside in addition to reaching your job or your school?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped a great amount because I know I was on the art bus a few months ago and talking to someone, and she said she takes the bus to the Bosque every sunset, and that's like her thing is every sunset she likes to catch the sunset there. And we were talking about zero fares and how that makes that an affordable decision for her, an affordable way to get to a beautiful place to watch the sunset every day. And I think about one of the health clinics where I access medical care, the Alamosa Community Center. That's a great accessible by bus location. So even though it's pretty far from my house, I actually choose to go to that one because I know I can get there pretty reliably by the bus. So it just kind of opens up doors for so many people. And even if people could afford the service before, the service is better now that it's zero fare because you don't have to wait for everybody counting their nickels, making sure they have the fare. You don't have to witness the fare conflicts between the drivers and riders. It's just everybody gets on the bus and goes. And it's made me want to take the bus more, as someone who, could walk some places and take the bus some places. I'm like, oh no, it'll be so fast to get on the bus, and there'll be fewer conflicts in general than how it used to be.
I can imagine that because even though obviously I would be able to pay the fare, but I know as a rider in a new city or someplace I get flustered, do I need to have an ID, do I need a punch card, do I need exact change? So I can see how the zero fares would have impacts beyond.
Honestly, even just not taking out my purse and digging through to find my ID anymore, because I had free fares before as a C&M student, even just not having to dig out for my purse and, just reduces stress. So I'm way less flustered when I'm on the bus. I just have to worry about my mask.
And can I add that one of the things that we're seeing with zero fares too is I love hearing from some of our community partners because we've heard from other service providers like Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless. They saw a significant decrease in no-shows or late shows for people that are getting services, because previously to get to their service you had to have a bus pass. It was one of the biggest barriers for people experiencing homelessness to access healthcare. We also heard from Transgender Resource Center that clients that go to the resource center didn't have as many conflicts with drivers, right, about their IDs or not having fares or being harassed. And so I think those are really positive outcomes too of zero fares. You get on and go. It's that easy, right?
And so lastly, what is the status of the zero fares program, and what do you anticipate might happen in the next weeks, months?
Yeah, so right now we have our zero fare pilot that's still going on, and then they just extended time for a study to September to see how things are going with the fixed routes. And in addition, there's a new bill that was just proposed to the City Council, but they have to do an equity study on it first, that would make the ART bus and paratransit, the Sun Van, free for everybody permanently, which would be a fantastic program that I think would be just one of the best things we can do. Of course, I want it to be the fixed route services too, but it's a great place to start.
And again, what we're excited for is that implementation plans really call for community input and for community-led solutions to transit security that don't rely just on law enforcement. Other communities are looking to Albuquerque. We recently attended a national convening in DC. This is where people are moving towards. I think you might have heard DC just beat us out as the largest city with free buses in the country, right? There are about 100,000 people more than Albuquerque. And we're happy to let them take that right moniker as being the largest city with free buses. But we're excited that people are looking to Albuquerque as an example of what the future looks like for public transit.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you.